Why the fuck are you so eager to share this with me? Chris is your man. Fuck, he brought you on, and you stabbing him in the back? Carter responded in dignity. First, I'm tired of being that nigga's son. I need to come out from under his shadow. Sean smiled slightly. Okay, I respect that. Carter kept going. On top of that, this nigga is making that move, and it should be with me. Sean looked at Carter blankly. Pac put Chris on. You know this. What's this really about, Carter? Don't fucking try to play with me. The Jay-Z of today wasn't born yet. This young Sean Carter was in over his head. Concerned he had to spill it, I want his spot. Ambition. Now this is a man I can work with. Sean made a grandiose gesture toward Carter. Waiter, get this motherfucker whatever he wants. Carter smiled. Thank you. Sean responded. Honesty and ambition. We're gonna make a lot of bread together. Carter ordered a drink. As he stated again, guess he won't be leaving with that nigga to do their own label now. Sean responded with his normal air of arrogance. Why don't you let me worry about that? I took this as my cue to escape. I told Sean, I'm going to go ahead and get back to Quincy. And barely noticed as he excused me. Sean was wrapped up in his conversation with Carter, and he barely noticed as he excused me. Have the limo drop you off. We didn't eat. He didn't care. I smiled and kissed him on the cheek and left. Chapter 8, Kedada, page 21. Actress, model, and fashion designer Kedada Jones was Tupac Shakur's fiancée and is the daughter of record producer Quincy Jones and actress Peggy Lipton. Being around other celebrities was just a part of life. Meeting Kedada was just one of those events, and as time went on, we became close. We hung out together, went shopping, and so on. It was about the same time I met Kimora. Those were the days, or so I thought. We always had girl talk, and the fact that she was dating someone I had previously been with wasn't a source of contention. We didn't get jealous of each other. It was just girl talk stuff. No, I did not become intimate with Kedada. Kimora was too jealous for that. Yes, Kedada knew about Kimora, Sean, and I all being together sexually. Of course she did. We shared that kind of thing. We were open and honest with each other about almost everything. A true friendship, except I couldn't be open and honest about everything. Not anymore. Sean made sure of that. Kedada and Pac were the greatest couple. He was always so cool and yes, sexy. She was beautiful and fun. Before all the tension and beef, we used to all hang out together. It was always dope vibes. But with Pac's shooting and the suspicion surrounding Sean and Jimmy, the vibes between Kedada and I were always perfect. Weren't perfect. Then came that night. Award shows weren't anything new for us at this point. We dolled up as the men we groomed. We didn't choose what we wore. A stylist prepared our color palettes. A makeup artist did our makeup and hairstylist did our hair. This was just the way of things. We shared the best stylist in the business. Sometimes we would all go to the studio for an event to get our measurements taken. But this time, Kedada seemed different. I felt like something was wrong, but when I probed her, she wouldn't say anything. Then the day of the event was here. We would all see each other inside. Even though Sean was my man, as far as props, I had nothing on Kendata. Being Quincy Jones's daughter and had perks, and superstardom was among them. Pac wasn't there. When she saw us, she came over to our table. We sat around kicking it in a very dope vibe. Sean knew he was going to clean up this award show. He had all but taken over the East Coast, musically. With all the hits, there really was no way he wouldn't. But Bad Boy is Hall of Fame stuff now. Sean Pitty Combs knew it. Sean smiled at Kidada as she sat at our table, but something about that smile didn't seem authentic. Soon I would know why. He's sick when he has a grudge against someone. As she sat, Sean said, "Bad Boy's gonna clean the fuck up." From his table, with faith, Chris replied, "Hell yeah. And that new shit we busting out, gonna have these niggas sick." Kidada signaled for the waiter to pour her a glass of the ginger ale that sat over at her table. As the waiter refreshed her drink, she said, "Pac's music's gonna get some love too." Sean grimaced. "Oh, come on, Sean. I know y'all got your differences, but you have to admit, the man makes great music." Sean looked at me at the corner of his eye, then took another sip of his favorite cognac and replied, "Bad Boy got the hottest music on the fucking planet, but I ain't tripping. Everybody gotta get their shine, right?" Kidada sighed. "Sean, Tupac thinks you were involved with him getting shot. You two were so close. You need to make this right." Sean responded indignantly. "Why the fuck would that nigga think I had anything to do with it?" Kidada retorted. "Sean, can you blame him?" Sean was obviously not happy with that question by his reply. "Hell yeah, I blame him. We had a good thing going. All of us. That nigga turned on me. And he has the fucking balls to blame me for the shooting?" The indignity he managed to spew out while lying through his teeth was something I did not expect. I was thrown back for a moment before interjecting. Do we have to do this tonight? It's Sean's big night." Kimura heard the ruckus and made her way over to our table as well. She sat down and said, "Hey, everybody," with that big, dimpled smile. I smiled and replied, "Hey, Kidada." Kidada also seemed happy to see her as well. She said, "Hey, what's up, Kimmy?" Kimura, never the type to hold her tongue, went straight at it. "The whole place is buzzing with the fact you're sitting here accusing Sean of having Pac shot. Y'all kinda, loud?" She laughed. Kidada seemed embarrassed as she looked around to see everybody staring and whispering. But she wasn't about to back off. In fact, she doubled down. "Anybody here not talking about it ain't real anyway. We all know Sean was behind it." Kimura forced a smile. "Honey, we don't have to do this here." Kidada made clear she was not to be silenced as she continued. "Oh, let's not hurt feelings of Sean Puffy Combs. He only had one of the most prolific rappers in the game shot." Sean clenched his hands into his fists. If this was anyone else, this would have turned ugly. But this was Quincy Jones's daughter. Sean was a monster in the streets, well feared by men that knew. But he did not want any of the smoke Quincy Jones could bring. Kidada could continue with impunity. Sean could not touch her. Christopher and Mary, both wanting to defend the super producer that made them famous, both started to stand and make their way over to the table. but Sean signaled them off with a firm motion of his hand. They remained in their seats, watching helplessly. Kidara seemed to be on a full rampage. "You're not safe in the streets, Sean. You think you're untouchable?" Kimura seemed almost red in the face when she grabbed Kidara by the hand, saying, "I gotta go to the restroom." Kidara, not willing to stop, snatched her hand away, yelling, "Let go of me." Kimura needed her to grip a hand and said sternly, as a parent speaking to a child mid-tantrum, "Da!" Kidara turned her head and yelled, "What?" Kimura nodded toward the crowded room, and Kidara looked around. Here she deflated slightly. Kimura, now in control, spoke firm, but not softly. Kimura, now in control, spoke firm, but softly. "Let's go powder our nose." Kidara nodded with a glance and gave a sharp look back at Sean as she walked away. As intention slowly melted away, I asked Sean, "You okay?" Sean didn't reply at first. He looked around, saw that no one was really paying attention. Now that the ruckus had died down, and stood to get the picture of ginger ale from Kidara's table. He poured himself a drink from it, looked around again and saw no one was paying attention, and put the pitcher under the table. What was he doing? Then I heard the distinct sound of liquid being poured into liquid. Oh my God, is he peeing in the pitcher? He smiled at me as he brought the pitcher back from under the table and finally replied to me, "I'm good." He then stood and returned the pitcher to the table. I was in awe. I knew he had a bad temper, but this was disgusting. I'll never eat or drink something after we have an argument. Shit, that's never drink from that nigga, or don't trust that nigga at all. Side note. Kidara and Kimura made their way back to Kidara's table to sit as Sean watched on quietly. Sean made small talk. "Which songs do you think they'll give me awards for?" As Kidara poured her drink. Sean's bodyguard made his way over to the table. I think he stopped her from drinking, as everyone else just sat and watched. Jean risked incurring Sean's wrath, if I'm right. Relieved, I replied, "Babe, your catalog is crazy. It could be a lot of songs." Sean glared at Kidara's table the entire night. Chapter 9. Going back to Cali. We had a wild night. It was after one of Sean's infamous parties. Everyone was there, and we not only had threesomes, but we also swapped partners. Our sex life was crazy, but I got to do things with Sean I would never have been able to do with straight men. Sean cared about me, but it was becoming more and more obvious that he preferred men. I was beginning to think I was there more to cover his wild desires than because he really wanted to be with me. He was like Caesar, every woman's man.